Yeah, I don't know why I kept calling this thing a Royal Star. It's actually a Roadstar. But replace the regulator on, or replace the solenoid on it, which is under the left side cover here. It's right here, right there, behind this, directly behind this little fuse panel right here. But charging system's a no-go, so we need to check out the stator output and check the stator for grounds, and make sure the resistance is good between the leads on it. So let me disconnect that thing and I'll get back to it in a second. Okay, you need to locate the stator plug. It's right here at the front, basically right behind this fuse box under the side panel there. It'll have 3 white wires to it. There'll be basically 4 connectors together right here. This one was on the outside. It's just 3 wires. So we're going to disconnect that and test our stator out. All right, let's get to it. Hopefully I can keep my arm out of the way there so you can see it. That's it there, 3 pins. Let me grab my meter over here. And to start off with, we're going to just put it on ohm setting. We'll start off on 200 ohms. And you're going to test between all 3 of these, and then you're going to test at the ground. So just 1 there in that pin, 1 in that pin. We got 0 ohms resistance between those 2. And then we'll check these 2 here. We got 0 ohms there. Then we'll test from this one to this one. 0, 0. Then we're going to test these to ground. Make sure that the stator isn't grounded internally. We got nothing there. It should be infinite when you test this. We got nothing there. Then we got nothing there. Now we're going to test the output of the stator. And again, you're just going to test across the pins here. We're going to set that to AC volts. We'll just set it on 200. It'll be higher you rev it, the more it'll put out. So let me start this thing up so you can see what it's doing here. Actually, so I can see what it's doing too. You have to let it warm up a minute. It says cold nature. It's got the K&N filter on here, and it's probably never been jetted. Plus, the carb smells. Got old gas on it. So chances are the carb's probably nasty. good on that one. Now we're going to switch leads out again we'll just switch them out to this over here. So you end up testing each one, and they should all put out close to the same. So it looks like we're getting good stator output here, kind of, sort of. Make sure I'm not burning my test leads here. See what we got on this leg here. Yeah, so we're good on that one. So let's test this last one. Already did those two. We just need to switch this one over here. Then we'll test it. Man, this bike really stinks. Needs to be ridden. I don't know how long it was sitting for, but I'm sure, I think they just put fresh gas on top of bad gas. All right, so we know the stator's good. Need to check that regulator connector and make sure that thing's not corroded any. And other than that, it should be charging. That's good there. Sometimes these plugs right here, if they get loose, they'll actually burn. You'll go to pull it out and it won't be white anymore. It'll be like a tan color right in the middle here and be melted. There's too much resistance between where the pins and sockets get loose, or the spades get loose in the terminals. And as resistance causes more resistance, so as resistance goes up, heat goes up, and it just melts it. That's common on almost every bike there is. So let's see if we can get this regulator connector disconnected up here. It's at the front of the bike out here where it gets some air. And we're just going to pull it off there and check it. If I can get my hand in there. Which doesn't seem to be happening very easy. Let me turn this thing off and see if I can get it up. All right, I'm going to spray a little electrical contact cleaner in here before I hook it back up, and I'll probably pack it with dielectric grease. But let's see here. And you want to check this plug too. If it's got any burn marks to it. It was in there good and tight, but we'll see. This thing's got spider webs all over it. Something bit the hell out of me out here a couple of weeks ago. And couldn't find it. Didn't even see what it was. My whole arm started tingling. Okay. Now, let's hook this thing back up and check the charging system again. Since we know the stator's working, if still not charging, it's going to need a regulator. That's just a given. You can test regulators, but usually if everything else is good, you got good grounds, you got good power output, usually it means one of the diodes in the rectifier's bad. All the rectifier does is that's what converts AC volts into DC volts. So if one of those is bad, it won't send full voltage through the regulator rectifier, excuse me. Meaning it ain't going to get a full charge. So you just need to verify this stuff before you start throwing parts at it. I've worked with guys before that you'd have to constantly get on them about diagnostics to be sure that what they're telling the customer is actually true, instead of throwing parts at something because they weren't really sure, which happens. That's why if you're a shop foreman, you need to keep on top of them guys, because you can't be charging customers inordinate amounts of money and just to charge them inordinate amounts of money because you think they don't know. Yeah, that shit don't play real well. At least it doesn't with me. Okay. I'm just going to set that up there. Hopefully you can see that. All right, so that thing should be singing up near 14 volts, and we're at 12.6, basically 12.7, right in that range, which ain't no good. So we'll be getting a regulator rectifier for this thing. Then we can get it out of here. Again, this is a Roadstar, not a Royal Star. I don't know why I kept saying Royal Star. Probably didn't have my glasses on when I was reading the damn thing. Actually, I know I didn't have my glasses on. But that's it for this one. I'll go in the house now and get a rectifier regulator ordered. Make sure everything's off here. I have a bad habit of leaving my damn meter on and coming out and the battery's dead on it. So always make sure your meter's off. Anyway, that's it for this one. I guess I'll do a follow-up video once I put the regulator rectifier in there so you can actually see how much voltage this thing is supposed to have. It's pretty simple. It's basically 14.1 to 14.7. And on an analog meter, what you'll see, you say it's at 14.6, 14.7. Is once it hits 14.7, it'll drop back to 14.6. And then it'll go back up to 14.7. You rev it some more, it'll go back down to 14.6. That means that the regulator portion of the thing is shutting the voltage off where it needs to be. If it goes up over 14.7, just for instance, say you put it on there and it's at 16 volts or 17 volts or 16.5 or whatever, regulator's probably fried, or it's getting ready to, because the way they work is the regulator shunts excess voltage through a Zener diode to ground, and if it ain't got a good ground, it's going to overheat the regulator, pretty much fry the circuit board. So you need to have really good grounds on that thing. A lot of times on bikes, guys will have the frames powder coated or whatever, or it gets rusted in between the frame and the regulator, and it loses ground, and it starts overcharging. It's not really a big deal. A lot of times what I do on a lot of bikes is I'll run extra ground. I'll just make a ground out of a good, probably 18 gauge wire is all it needs, with 2 ring terminals on it. And I'll use some star washers, and I'll mount the one end of the thing up to the regulator with the star washer, so it really digs in there. It's got a good ground. And then I'll run the other one back directly to the battery or to another position on the frame, and same thing. Star washer, internal or external, so it digs into the frame there and makes a good contact. That's a good idea to do on a bike anyways, extra ground on that thing, because I've had them before where they do come loose, and you'll be some things that you notice, because not everybody checks their charging system very often. You're supposed to check it every time you service the bike, but nobody ever does. Is if it is overcharging, you'll start blowing tail lights and blowing headlights and turn signal lights and all kinds of crap, because it can't hold the excess voltage. But that's it for this one, man. Let's go find a regulator rectifier and call this customer and let them know. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.